That's how the Sermon on the Plain begins. Poor, hungry, weeping, or persecuted, you are all blessed in the kingdom, with the promise of immediate relief and justice. But woe to you who are rich, full, laughing, or popular. You have received your consolation, and the wheels of justice will even the scales, and you will lose out. Not only are the poor and the downtrodden given incredible good news, but all of us come to understand that the things that the world seems to care so much about, wealth, convenience, comfort, popularity, these really mean nothing in the eyes of God. Today's passage deals with loving enemies and turning the other cheek. A few weeks ago, I preached on when love is hard, the time Jesus was rejected in his hometown. If that was hard, what Jesus asks of us today is near impossible. So I changed the title to When Love is Really Hard. But what is tough for us, my friends, is made easy by the Spirit of God. Indeed, what is really hard, even, dare I say, impossible for us, may come to be by the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. That brings us to the meeting today.
Our scripture, more than any other one, reminds me of how far I fall short and how much I need His redeeming grace. This is from the 6th chapter of Luke, verses 27 through 38. It's out of the New Revised Standard Version translation. And this is Jesus speaking. Quote, "But I say to you that listen, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you. And if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to the sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For He is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you will give will be the measure that you give back." This is the word of God. God is still speaking. Thanks be to God.
Eternal Spirit, God of steadfast love and mercy, come to us, O Lord. Let us know the power of your redeeming love. A love that is so profound, so full, so complete, that it conquers the world. Help us to know that love, to share that love, to live that love. Bless the speaking, the hearing, and the living of your holy word. Amen. Frederick Buechner, in the book The Magnificent Defeat, says the love for equals is a human thing. A friend for friend, brother for brother. It is to love what is loving and lovely. The world smiles. The love for a less fortunate is a beautiful thing. To love for those who suffer, for those who are poor, the sick, the failures, the unlovely. This is compassion, and it touches the heart of the world. The love for the more fortunate is a rare thing. To love those who succeed where we fail. To rejoice without envy with those who rejoice, the love of the poor for the rich, of the black man for the white man. The world is always bewildered by its saints. And then there is the love for the enemy. Love for the one who does not love you, but mocks, threatens, and inflicts pain. The tortured's love for the torturer. This is God's love. It conquers the world. When love is really hard. Now let's face it, there is times when it is near impossible to love. And here Jesus is telling us to love our enemies, to do good to those who hate you, to bless those who curse you, to pray for those who abuse you. Talk about tough. I mean, on a good day, the best we can often do is simply to tolerate our enemies, right? Or perhaps sit there in silent contempt and hold our tongue. And here Jesus wants us to love them, to do good to them. Now, before we go any further, I want to point out something about the word love. Now, we know love as both a noun and a verb, but we often associate that word love with a sense of being, or perhaps something that has come to be inherent in our emotional makeup. I mean, certainly in romance we talk about being in love. But even the love that we have within a family or between friends, it denotes a kind of inherent relationship of fondness, dedication, commitment. But this is somewhat different than the way Luke is using the word here in Greek. You see, in Greek, love is absolutely an action verb. It's something you do. It's not really a quality you possess, it's something you do. In fact, all those verbs in that very first verse that hits us so powerfully in the Greek are all action verbs. Love, do good, bless, pray. Jesus is telling his followers that they have to do these things regardless of how they feel. You still might have contempt for an enemy. I mean, you might think they're way off base. Perhaps you think they might even be demented or stupid or prejudiced or selfish or unable to see the big picture like you do. But even if you feel that way, Jesus is saying you can still love them. You can still do good to them and for them. You can wish them well, you can give them blessing, and you can pray for them. And in fact, you see, Jesus is not telling us that we have to suddenly think of these people as our new best friends. But if we are to be followers of the Son of God, then we need to offer them the same kind of love and mercy that is inherent in the Christ. Now that's certainly easier said than to do, but all the same, still, this is what we are called to do and be as followers of Christ. And then Jesus tells us to turn the other cheek. That's not easy, is it? If someone is mean to you, our first inclination is to be mean back. It's human nature. We almost can't help ourselves. I mean, how many times when you're having an argument, and here maybe even with someone you do love, like your spouse, he or she criticizes you, and instead of owning up to your own mistake, don't you immediately point out some sort of flaw that you see in them? Isn't that the same thing? And some may argue, well, if all you do is turn the other cheek, isn't that really just enabling the one who hit in the first place, legitimizing their power over you? What about justice? What about righting the wrongs of this world, of upsetting the oppressors of the world and lifting up the lowly? How can you do that if you're always turning the other cheek? I want to be clear here, my friends. Jesus doesn't give these words to us because he wants us all to be passive wimps in this world, to just take it from people who are bent on evil. That passive road is destructive. And all I have to do is think of Women who stay in abusive relationships because they know, well, he really does love me. He just gets out of hand sometimes. That passive road is destructive, and that is not what Jesus is talking about here. In no way does Jesus acknowledge that what has just happened to you is somehow excusable or right or justified. It is still wrong. It's still very wrong. When you offer the other cheek, or you don't hit back, like Jesus is telling us here, when you offer your coat, when you gift wrap it, even though somebody has just taken off the clothes off your back, even when you know you're being taken advantage of, if you are able to do that and turn the other cheek, you are making a profound statement. An incredibly bold action that says, what you are doing is wrong, but I love you anyway. And I love you so much. I believe in that love so much. I believe that love is greater than your sin. And I even believe that love will one day change your heart. When you turn the other cheek, when you don't hit back, as Jesus talks about, if anything, I find there's a kind of defiance that happens in your heart. And it's very empowering. It's not that beat you down into submission kind of reaction when you start feeling like maybe you deserve to be treated this way. This is very different. It's like you hear this inner voice. You tap into the power of God's Spirit. And you find the strength of the Lord so that you can rise above the pettiness and the machinations of this pitiful small person who has to use violence in order to feel some sense of power and worth. That's pretty petty, my friends, those people that have to do that. It really is. And Jesus is asking us, and with the power of the Holy Spirit, to rise above that. It's not passive at all. In fact, it's incredibly assertive. You can feel the Lord, the power of the Lord just flow through your entire heart and your soul, enabling you to show a person the true power of God. A power that comes through the cross. Because that's what it is. Showing love to your enemies, praying for those who persecute you, treating people with love and respect and civility, even though they certainly don't treat you that way. Perhaps it's that daily cross Jesus asks you to bear, to voluntarily take on this suffering, to rise above it, and to face it with love. And just like Jesus, my friends, just like Jesus and that cross, with all that pain and suffering and ultimately death that comes with it, we know as believers in the resurrection that what the world sees as defeat is really victory. And what the world sees as death is really life. Now, I'll be honest, you cannot do this without the power of the Holy Spirit. It is nothing short of impossible if God doesn't help you and lift you up and give you the strength and the fortitude and that love. It's not passive at all. In fact, it's incredibly empowering. You make this conscious decision. I'm going to love. I am going to show love. I'm going to live out this love. I'm going to live out Christ's love, that redeeming, transforming, resurrecting love. This is the love that conquers the world, that brought about the redemption of all humankind. This is the love that renews and restores and recreates life. This is the love that Jesus embodied, the love of God. And so Jesus asks us to love even when it's really hard. Jesus lived it in his ministry, in his teachings, in his healings, in his passion, in his death, in his new resurrected life. And it lives on in us whenever we can surrender to that love. When we strive to live that love as well. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote a bit about it. David Thoreau lived it. Gandhi and then Martin Luther King Jr. both put it into practice and thus brought about an incredible change and transformation in this world. I think of Dr. Martin Luther King and his the work, A Testament of Hope, which deals with his writings and speeches. And there's an excerpt from one of the sermons that he wrote while in jail in Georgia. And he preached it just after the bus protest in Montgomery, Alabama. After noting that hate is just as injurious to the hater as it is to the hated, Dr. King says this: "Of course this is not practical. Life is a matter of getting even, of hitting back, of dog eat dog. My friends, we have followed the so-called practical way for too long a time now. And it has led inexorably to deeper confusion and chaos. Time is cluttered with the wreckage of communities which surrendered to hatred and violence. For the salvation of our nation and the salvation of mankind, we must follow another way. This does not mean that we abandon our righteous efforts. With every ounce of our energy, we must continue to rid this nation of the incubus of segregation. But we shall not, in the process, relinquish our privilege and our obligation to love. While abhorring segregation, we shall love the segregationists. This is the only way to create the beloved community." My friends, even when it is really hard, perhaps especially when it is hard to love, we know that this kind of redeeming love, loving your enemies, praying for your persecutor, turning the other cheek, it can change the world. It might not be easy to practice. It might take a long time. But it is the way of Christ. I keep praying for some stability today, to return to our communities, our nation, for a respect across the aisle, an appreciation for diversity. Instead, I often feel like things are spinning out of control. As people criticize, they fame each other, they can't even see the other side's point. They never even try to understand. We allow ourselves to be steered into our respective camps, feeding the divisive nature of our political discourse, seeing things as a battle or a war against each other, instead of what it's supposed to be, a civil discussion with a hope of finding a solution that is best for all. As I thought and prayed about this passage, I felt God telling me that we need this passage now, today, more than ever. We need to hear Jesus' words about loving enemies and turning the other cheek. We need to love those who we disagree with. We need to pray for those we can't stand. We need to help those who we think would never do the same for us. It's the only way to move forward. It's the only way to see the Christ. It's the only way to walk in the kingdom. When you love after the patterns of Jesus, caring and compassion become the cornerstone of your life. Love is not vicious or hostile. Love doesn't try to compound guilt. Love doesn't try to rub salt in the wounds of shame. Love at its best brings reconciliation and renewal. And it shows us all the power that God can have in our lives. Even when love is really hard for us, my friends, it comes easy for God. This is the kind of love that has toppled dictators and brought freedom to the oppressed. This is the kind of love that Jesus took with him when he went to that cross. That didn't leave him in the grave, but rose him up on the third day. And this is the kind of love that redeems the world. Surrender to it. Be empowered by it. Live it. And your life will never be the same. Thanks be to God. Amen.